Seriously?
What?
Cheesecake Factory?
Welcome. So apparently Cheesecake Factory isn't good enough for these women. Let's see what they got going on.
I posted a video about guys not knowing what they want in their 30s, and let me tell you, the comments have me like shook. The amount of men saying that they don't want to get married because they don't want to have to take care of a woman is like absolutely mind-blowing to me. Like, love is dead. It's dead.
For anyone that has listened to men in the last decade, this should not be surprising. Because let's face it, ladies, men are no longer to expect anything from a woman in marriage. Because when they talk about expectations, especially on social media, they get put through the ringer. And that has leaked into the real world. Like, men have a lot to lose when it comes to relationships, especially marriage. They are expected to give without requiring or wanting or asking for anything in return. A lot of men that have experienced that feeling in a real life relationship that he's been through, he has decided to remain single rather than put himself through that again. And honestly, what he sees on social media just reinforces that. It's really only until he finds a good woman in real life, he finds that unicorn, that will ever be broken down. And that does happen occasionally. But for the rest of the guys, they would rather be single.
All right. And this is what modern women don't understand, that you keep on saying things and you don't really understand that your words have your words have, they hold weight. Your actions hold weight. You can't just get out here and say and do anything and then expect a guy to ignore it while saying, don't ignore it. Like, listen to what I'm saying. No means no, or I'm not interested in you. Read my body language. And then when a man reads your body language and leaves you alone, I meant for him not to talk to me. I didn't want him to talk to me. You can come and talk to me. Or how would I have known that you wanted me to talk to you, but not him? Or you should have just known because of our vibe. You see how dumb that sounds? But they expect a man to be on board with all this game plan. And this is just light. That's not the worst of it. It gets a lot more worse when you get into a relationship with these types of women. It gets even more terrible.
I just never know how to respond when people say, oh, I don't know why you're still single, or how are you still single? So I've just, like, my default thing to say is, well, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I should just start listing all the things wrong with me, but I'm just like,
all right. And the one thing we cannot do for ourselves is have a masculine, safe home to land in. So providership is often assumed as financial providership. And that's one way that a man can provide, sure. But a lot of women make their own money now. So it's like, well, we don't really need your money. It's nice. It's a nice to have, but I can make my own as well. But what I do need is for you to provide me emotional safety. What I do need is to feel like you're on my team. What I do need is to feel your devotion. And that is providership. Like, to me, as the modern independent woman who makes my own money, that's how my man can provide for me.
BS. It's all BS. They continue to say this, but then they continue to try to find a man that makes more money than them. If you make your own money, then you don't need a man that makes as much or more money than you. That's just common sense. That's just a logical way of thinking. No. Well, what if I go down? What if I do this? I want to maintain my lifestyle. Y'all want to build in and make sure that the man is taking care of everything. So when a man hears you talking about this, he just knows it's a pile of nonsense. He knows it's junk and you don't mean it. Well, I don't need your money. You sure want it. You sure fight tooth and nail to get it. You sure make me pay for all the dates. Why don't you pay for the dates for your money? Well, because I like a man being a man. Okay, then maybe you should be a woman and learn how to be in a woman's place. Learn how a man provides, how he protects, and let him secure the perimeter. I feel like I've talked about this in one of my videos before, but women don't understand that men go before you and they create a perimeter. They create an environment. Now, once you're in that environment, then you pick out, you choose, okay, this is how I'm going to set my environment out. But too many modern women like to walk up to the fence or step just outside of the fence, creating more risks for men, creating more threats for men. So they have to continue to enlarge the territory, enlarge the environment, so much so to where the man has too much going on. And when he fails to protect the environment, oh man, this man over here on the other side of town would never. That's because he don't have to deal with your bull crap. That's why he would never. He only sees you 1 or 2 days out of the week. That's why he would never, because he gets a small portion of you, and he's only got to provide safety and security for that. He's only got to provide for that, even if it's just emotional. I bet you that man is still paying for the dates when y'all go on the dates. When you step out on me, I bet that man is still paying for the dates. Oh man, he just treats me like I never knew I could be treated. So you gonna say all that and then forget that you just put all of this stuff, all of this pressure on this man? Oh, I'm gonna wear what I want to wear. Go out there, get in trouble. Now he gotta come save you. Oh man, I don't need this job. I'm gonna get out of here. Okay, I thought you could make your own money, but I gotta step up and do that too now. And it's just anything that you can think of, these modern women added on to the man's plate and then wonder why the man is exhausted.
I was in a relationship with a guy for about 48 hours, and then I decided to break up with him because he got us tickets to go see a Commanders game. And on the way to the stadium, he turned to me and said, "By the way, this is your Christmas gift." And I don't like sports. So suddenly I felt very conflicting emotions. I felt very grateful and appreciative that he had planned this wonderful date for us, which represented a new experience that I wouldn't have sought out on my own, while simultaneously feeling disappointed that my Christmas gift, the first one I would receive from my new boyfriend, was something that did not reflect any genuine interest that I had. Okay. I looked into my future and I saw myself receiving an egg apron for my birthday when all I wanted to do was go to Greece. Now you might see this and think to yourself, well, Caitlin, he was probably just joking. No, I don't think he was. And here's why I don't think he was joking. On our second date, he turned to me and said, "Hey, let's play a game. I'm going to ask you 4 questions. If you answer all 4 questions correctly, I will take you to a really nice dinner. If you answer any of the questions incorrectly, you have to take me to a really nice dinner." And I said, "Oh, game on." A fun, sexy bet. Okay. The last question was a trick question. I'd been drinking, so I answered it incorrectly. He goes, "Oh, you have to take me to dinner." He then, the next day, books us a dinner reservation at a Michelin star restaurant in DC. I was very excited to go on a date with this guy that I'm smitten with. It was maybe our 3rd or 4th date. We hadn't known each other for very long. I bought a new outfit. I got my hair done. I go over to his apartment. I looked amazing. The whole time I'm thinking, he's not going to make me pay for this date. He booked us the reservation at this nice place. However, he kept emphasizing, "Hey, don't worry. I'm not going to order any drinks at the restaurant because I don't want to rack up the bill." So I kind of began to realize, oh, I'm paying for this. Then when the check did come, I did pay for it. I did drop over $300 on a date with this guy. He was serious. So that leads me to believe that he was serious when he said that that Commanders game, that was my Christmas gift. And it's confusing to be in that situation because the seats he got us at the game were really good. It was a fun day. I was extremely appreciative that he had went through the effort and spent the money to give me that experience, but it painted it in a very different light, finding out that it was my Christmas gift, because it was like, oh, he saw this, thought it would be a cool thing to do, and then tried to figure out how he could justify the expense to himself and said, Christmas gift. That's how. Despite the fact this wouldn't make sense for me as a Christmas gift.
I don't get it. Okay.
If it was just a standalone thing. I really liked this guy. I could see myself falling for him. I felt like in some ways we were really developing a strong partnership, but then in other ways, I realized that I was frequently experiencing conflicting emotions. Like, oh, wow, he wants to go with me to a really nice spot for dinner. He's going to make the reservation. He's going to plan the evening, but then I'm going to foot the bill. I'm not against paying for certain things in relationships, but for the first few dates, I kind of expect the guy to pay. To him, my decision to end our relationship probably came out of left field. He probably
did.
is chalking that up to the fact that I have a history of demonstrating qualities associated with a disorganized attachment style, and that's true. But
Listen, so I can see where you're coming from when you talk about him just springing on the whole Christmas present thing, right? But I knew that there were going to be good seats. I knew that there were going to be good seats. So it's conflicting because he didn't tell you ahead of time. He just kind of surprised you. And you're like, well, if you were going to give me a Christmas present, then I would have picked something else. But he's actually giving you a good experience that you yourself said you didn't know if you would like, but you were grateful for the experience because you would have never thought about it. Women continue to say that they like a spontaneous man. Just take me here, you plan the date, you do everything. So, and it'd be one thing if it were like nosebleeds, right? But you yourself said they were good seats. They were good tickets. And so you enjoy the experience. But the fact that you didn't get to pick your first Christmas present from him and he planned and picked the experience for you is not sitting right with you. Number one. Number two, he said, let's play a game. If 4 questions, if you answer all of them right, I'm taking you out on dinner. But if you get any one of these questions incorrect, then you're going to have to take me, basically. And you agree to it. You didn't even put any other stipulations. You didn't pull back on anything. You said game on. And then when you didn't win the game, then you got mad because he held you to the rules that you agreed to. Ma'am, it doesn't look like you're struggling with that dissociative or disorganized, whatever you said it was. It sounds like you're struggling with a little bit of accountability, a little bit of being grateful. Does that make any sense? Like, the guy gave you an experience that you yourself said that you liked, but then when you realized, oh, well, I would really like to have picked maybe a bag or something like that, or maybe some nice shoes for my first Christmas present. So you don't think that if you would have broke up with him 48 hours later, then you wouldn't have kept those shoes or that expensive bag? I think this man has money. I think this is one of those quote unquote high value men. And he outsmarted you. And you don't like that. You don't like to be outsmarted. You like to be the smart one in the relationship. And he's better than you. He's more clever than you are. Modern women never like a man that's more clever than them. And it's weird because they want a man that's more clever than them. They want a man that bests them at everything. That's why they say you got to be making as much or more than me. But then when he does, they don't like it. They don't like feeling inferior, even if it's just on their part and the man in no way made them feel that. Well, I would like a man to pay for the first few dates at least. I think you said that y'all had been on 3 or 4 dates at that point in time. You weren't paying for any of those. The only reason you pay for that one is you lost a bet that y'all both agreed to. Are you insane?
And that's true. But actually, my decision is rooted in the fact that he's a 39-year-old man. He's turning 40 in less than 6 months. And I don't know if he was totally capable of imagining or being able to understand what my emotional experience might be unless I was to tell him. Like, for example, when we would walk his dog out of his apartment and go through the stairwell, he would open the door for himself and the dog. I'd be walking behind him and would let the door close in my face. Now, I did flag that for him. I said, hey, I really feel invisible when you do that. That's a really bad feeling. I don't like that. Could you please make sure you hold the door open for me in those moments? And he fixed it. But the number of crucial conversations that I would have to have with someone who I had really only known for about 2.5 weeks, we moved way too quickly, felt disproportionate. It just was like, I don't know if I need this. I don't know if it's worth it for me to go through the effort to explain the nuances of how I could be simultaneously grateful and appreciative while also feeling disappointed. Like, I just don't know if he's the person who is going to be able to receive that? And do I want to even have to vocalize that after 2.5 weeks to someone who's supposed to be courting me?
You have a lot going on. I could see the conversation of him not opening the door for you or keeping the door open. I would say maybe you can help out if he's got the dog in his hands and he's got the dog on the leash. His focus is probably on the dog, and the dog is probably running around. I'm not sure how big that dog is. So if it's a big dog, then he's probably got his hands full, right? The last thing on his mind at that point in time is holding the door open for you. I think you have to take just a little bit of responsibility there and say, well, maybe you go out before him, or maybe you open the door and let him and the dog walk out. Or maybe if you guys are a team or a partnership, you grab the dog chain or leash it, and then you walk it out while he holds the door, right? I think maybe that's some options there. You're saying that he wouldn't understand your emotional experience, and he actually did, and he fixed it when you talked to him, right? That's effective communication. I would say also, you have to also think about you're saying a lot, but then I think you're also confusing yourself. Like, I don't think you understand that you guys are two different genders. So the way you think about things is not the way that he thinks about things. Yes, he's courting you, which is why he was taking you to the Commanders game. He's planning the dates. You said that. He's planning the dates. He's doing all of that stuff. But what you're looking for is to be put on a pedestal. You're looking to be raised all the way up, and he isn't quite doing that. I think you're going to have trouble, and I think you're going to be alone because your standards, while there's some good reasoning to it, your standards, they become weird in other ways.
I think that so many women, especially young women, are just desperate for a guy to consistently plan dates with them, that you aren't developing the capability to evaluate the extent to which someone is able to also meet your emotional needs. And the older...
Yeah, she's continuing with the word vomit and the word salad. That's just like just think of a squiggly line. Just you over here. She's everywhere. I think she has an idea of what she's thinking, but it's not very clear, which means that you need to over communicate because you can confuse yourself.
The older you get, the less patience you have for someone who, even if you like them and even if you care about them, because you know that the level of effort it would take to get this person to care about you, like they might not ever be able to get there, and you might as well be alone. Unbeknownst to this guy, my base salary is higher than his. He didn't know this. He's probably going to watch this TikTok, so he will. But he told me his base salary, but he didn't want to know mine. He was very sensitive to the potential for ending up in a relationship where he was the sole provider. And I'm not interested in debating a 50-50 relationship, but I make enough money to the point where I would not expect to get into a relationship with a guy who is and I'm gonna be able to quit my job. Like, I'm too career oriented for that. But his nervousness about the possibility of that happening colored for me a lot of the decisions that he made. And he didn't realize maybe that I am fine financially. I wouldn't be using him for that, but I am evaluating at the same time how generous he is, how willing he would be to be a provider, not just for our future children, which he emphasized, the fact that he wanted to provide for future children, but is he going to be able to provide for the mother of those children? I caution you, if you are a young woman, against dating someone who isn't interested in dating women their own age, because they're probably going to say that it's because those women are in a rush, and probably some of them are. We're all operating sometimes from a place of scarcity and fear, okay? But more often than not, the other reason that a man doesn't want to date a woman his own age is because she might ask more of him. She might have higher expectations about not just his ability to provide in a financial way, but in his ability to provide in an emotional way. And it doesn't just mean like handling someone's insecurities. It also means like being able to consider the fact that it might put someone in a weird position if you tell them on the metro to a football stadium that, hey, by the way, this is your Christmas gift, when you don't know the person that well, but you know them well enough to know that I'm obviously not a sports fan. And I say this about the age gap thing because I did have an age gap with this guy. I'm 32. I just turned 32. He's going to be.
But it doesn't matter if you weren't a sports fan. You said that you appreciated the experience. It's something that it was new for you and you appreciated it. So why even continue going back to that if you appreciated and you were grateful for the experience? He planned it. Number one. Number two, he said he would provide for the children. But will you provide for me? You're talking about all of the insecurities that he has. What insecurities do you have? You want that man to take care of some insecurities for you, and you're not willing to listen to the insecurities that he has. You make a good amount of money. He makes a good amount of money. And he's saying, well, I don't want to be the sole provider. Like, I don't want somebody coming in and, just they got a job, but then all of a sudden when you get here, then, oh, I don't need to work anymore. I don't want to do that. Keep on doing what you're doing. That's all he's saying. You know what you could have done to help out with that? It is, oh, yeah, I definitely get it. I think when I have children, I would want to kind of stay with them for a little while. But then I would want to do some work. I would want to go to work. And whenever you guys discuss the timeline is whenever you discuss the timeline. But like you're not, I don't know, maybe you guys don't need to be together because you're not good at communication either.
Be 40 in the spring. And he said he didn't want to date women around his own age because they were in such a rush to have children, which is kind of ironic because he was really keen to be a father. All in all, I liked this guy. I actually felt at different points in time like I was falling in love with him.
Again, he just communicated to you that he wants to have kids, but he doesn't want to get in a relationship with a woman that is only focused on kids because you have the kids and then all of a sudden you don't know me. We really don't get to bond with each other. That's somebody that has wisdom. That's a person with wisdom.
But I just don't think he is where a man needs to be for me to remain in a relationship with him because I didn't really like how I felt all the time. I did share with him a little bit about some of the reasons behind my decision, and I hope he kind of takes it to heart because I hope that with the next woman he dates, maybe he's able to approach things a little bit differently.
I wouldn't.
It just bums me out because like I really liked this guy and I was like, oh my gosh, like this could really be something real. And he was so proactive about booking these dates with me, but there was just something that I just didn't feel the way I needed to feel, and I felt frequently a lot of inner conflict or tension, and it hadn't been long enough for me to have that discussion with him. I could have probably, but it's like, at what cost?
Okay, you get a trick.
So the game was actually that you could only answer the questions incorrectly. The first 3 were super easy. And then after the third one, he goes, man, like, oh, and he seems annoyed, right? Because it seems like he's going to lose the bet. And he goes, have you ever done this before? And I'm like, no, I've never done this before, but that's not the wrong answer. So then I lost the bet. Now, I think what makes this significant about him and his age is that he grew up and was in college in a time when negging was like normal. Negging was like a normal thing that men did. Like guys, they were negging. I think old habits die hard. I do not think he liked women.
All right, let's break.
Yeah, I think it would have been she would have been a huge headache for him. I think she's going to be a huge headache for anybody, to be honest with you. She's all over the place, and I've already talked too much about this, way too much about this. So I'll just go on to the next clip. Insufferable is not the word, but pretty darn close to it. I would not enjoy being in a relationship with this woman.
So I tried downloading Hinge a couple months ago because people always say, oh, if you want to meet the love of your life, you have to put yourself out there and you should try dating apps because that's the best way to meet people. I deleted Hinge after only a week of having it because it not only reminded me why I deleted dating apps years ago and told myself I would never go back to them, But it also made me realize that I just don't think I'm built for this generation of dating. I just don't think I don't think I can do it. It's so surface level and just temporary and casual and talking to a million different people at the same time. And like, that's just not me. That's just not who I am. I can't do it. And every time I would go on Hinge, it actually made me feel sad. And that's why I barely went on it. Even in the week I did have it, I probably went on it maybe 3 times. And like swiping through people, it just felt weird. I'm just like, what a weird robotic way to date. And it's just so like manufactured. I know I probably sound really like hippie right now, but like it's just so manufactured. It's so robotic. It's so surface level, and it's just not genuine. And also everyone on there is just, I hate to say this, but like desperate. You know what I mean? Like everybody's just talking to as many different people as they can. And I guess I should say guys. I don't know about girls, but like guys, you know, they're just kind of on there seeing what fish will bite their line. And I don't know, that just like, I don't like that. I don't even want to meet someone like that. Like I've realized I don't even want to meet a guy that is on dating apps, because that's not my guy. And that's just not what I'm like. And even, you know, in my profile, there's like a section you can put different lifestyle habits. So one thing that I put in mine was that I don't drink, because that is something that I've realized is very important to me. And I put that, and a guy that I matched with, whatever, his very first message, we should go get drinks sometime. I'm like, dude, like I'm not mad about it, but I'm just like, did you even read? Like, or did you just look at my picture? I think that's the thing. People just like look at a picture. And I had this moment where I was like, even myself, I had this moment where I was like, I am judging an entire person based off of just a photo. Well, not really. I would actually read their profiles, because there were some like good looking guys, but then I read their profile and I was like, never mind. But for the most part, you are just judging people off of a picture, and especially guys, I feel like, you know what I mean? So it's like, man, no one even really is on here to get to truly know anyone and truly like date. It's almost just like an ego thing or something. I don't know. I just didn't like the feeling. And in defense of Hinge, I just don't like any dating apps, period. I've never had a good experience with anything or anyone with a dating app, because I just think it's not how we're supposed to date, and it's not how we're supposed to truly communicate. I know some people meet their love on dating apps, and that's fine, but I feel like that's like 0.001% of people, you know? Anyway, yeah, I'm not a Hinge person, but I don't know, like maybe I'm just not meant to date nowadays.
Here's the
I think a lot of women go through this, where they get on these dating apps with super high expectations, because they have so many options, and they meet the good guy. But then, like you're saying, well, I read your profile, and I'm like, never mind. I would like to know what the never mind was, because it could be something as simple as he liked to wear a certain type of shoes, a certain pair of shoes, right? Women are literally disqualifying men on dating shows and dating apps because of the type of shoes that they wear, right? Or something. And I say that to say that it's probably something minuscule. For her, it might have been something major, but we know when modern women get on these apps and they talk about how terrible it is out there, and how men don't read, they just swipe and all of these other things. True enough, that does happen, but also they never take accountability for what they do, for the things that they say. Maybe you go out there and you might say something that you're actually more than you really are. You dress yourself up with certain looks, certain things, and a man doesn't really know how to receive you or how to take you. You don't respond to the man. You don't really get to know and understand the man. I understand your inbox is probably full, so it's really hard. But modern women, a lot of times I find on these dating apps, don't want to do the work to actually get to know the man. They want a man to approach, but they really want the man to approach and be their type. And even when he's their type, they want him to kind of like make me like you, like force me wrangle me into liking you. I don't want to do any other work. I don't want to do any other thought. I just want to fall. You know what I mean? Like they think of, oh, I just want to be free. I should just fall in love. That's how they think about it. I just want to fall in love. I didn't really even think about it. It was effortless. They don't want to put any work into it. And so probably what she's experiencing, or what a lot of modern women experience, is it's actual work when you get on the dating apps. And I'm going to tell you something now. Even in real life, it's going to be a lot of work. So get ready for that too.
Seriously?
What?
Cheesecake Factory?
Here's the thing. There's nothing more frustrating than when a woman claps out demands with zero respect.
In front of Cheesecake Factory and with roses. And she still got a problem. These modern women never quit. But that's just my opinion. Until the next video, I'm out.